Hey, it's me, Bob33, and welcome back to my retrospective review. Here, we're about to leave the SNES games after we get through today's review, Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Double Trouble. November 1996 is when this game debuted. It's also the debut of the N64, 1 week apart I believe. Developers today would have probably ported the game to the newer console so the system would sell better. Not that I say it would have been easier right now, but just think about this. It's not just a new console back then. It was an introduction of the third dimension. I could elaborate a bit more, but let's save that for the next video. Now, as for any beta elements in the game, it's mostly in this Brazilian commercial you're seeing right now. It's pretty much old sprite from Donkey Kong Country 2 being used as placeholders. And Larry the Elephant, as you see here, in a level that he can't get to in the current form of the game. Anyways, now that's that out of the way, let's find out if the dead one is the best one of the series. The game opens with a few cutscenes. I'll skip them except for the last one, because they're pretty much introduction of our supporting characters. We meet up with Funky Kong, who is now a mechanic. Not the strangest occupation in the Donkey Kong series, as you'll see later on. We also get Kiddy Kong, our new character, and he's pretty much played like Donkey Kong with a few other abilities. Diddy Kong was going to be called Kiddy Kong during the development of the first Donkey Kong Country game. Speaking of Diddy, he and Donkey Kong were kidnapped, and it's up for Dixie and Kiddy to save them from King K. Rool. Now, as you can see here, you can find hidden areas to collect banana breads, most of the time by playing a game of Simon. Now that I got that out of the way, let's actually begin the first level of the game, the first world, Lake Orangatanga. The name. The first level of the game, Lakeside Limbo, and to be quite honest, it did not give me a first good impression of the game. And to understand why, let's go back to the first level of the first two games. Jungle Jake's in Donkey Kong Country. It starts out with Donkey Kong just bursting out of his house and starting kicking butt. The jungle looks pretty nice, and you're just kicking butt, especially with Rambi. That was pretty awesome. It left me with a good feeling and a great first impression. Fast forward to Donkey Kong Country 2, you're on a pirate ship. Although it's not as impressive as the first game, at least visually, you still get a nice view and great details of the pirate ship. But what makes this level fun, for me at least, is the exploration. As you can find hidden barrels, hidden platforms, and of course, you're still kicking butt. And now Donkey Kong Country 3. We're on a wooden bridge, and there's really no creativity to this level. Sure, it has very nice lakes, mountain, and blue skies. Now, to give it credit, it's visually impressive. In fact, it made great use of the Super Nintendo's hardware, but there's really no imagination to it. Killing enemies feels less satisfying, maybe because they're more spread out, and the animal buddy, Larry the Elephant, is only used for a very short time compared to how much use Rambi in the first two games. I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty mediocre start. WRINKLY Kong makes a return with her same role as saving the game, and she has different animation, including one where she's playing Super Mario 64. And while we're on the topic of Easter eggs, going to this cabin with this bear in it, there's a lot of bears who are related and has the name start with the letter B. Sadly no Banjo, despite Project Dream being in development during the same time. But anyways, buy the show, ask more information about it, and you get a little Easter egg of Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening to be more specific. Now on to level 4. That's why I skipped 2 levels. Trust me, you're not missing anything. Anyways, we get to the first ice level of the game, and it's the debut of my favorite enemy characters of all time, Skitter, just because of the animation alone. I mean, just look at it. Oh man, I wish I have enough computer skills to make a GIF out of that. But anyways, that's pretty much the only thing worth mentioning in this level. Nothing really exciting. Musky Mirror is when we transform into Eri. Eri can grab barrels from a distance and other abilities which isn't used until later on in the game. Eri's weakness is rats in the light. When she makes eye contact with one, she runs away scared. I think this is a stupid ability to have, especially when there's no other animal buddy characters that has these kind of weaknesses. Thankfully, this is the only stage that has this gimmick, not counting the Lost World levels. We reach the first boss of the game and it's a giant barrel. All you have to do is throw enemies in Belcher's mouths and send them to the end of the platform. Now if done perfectly, it should only take like 2 enemies. I give it this, it's a unique boss fight for the Donkey Kong Country series, but being unique doesn't guarantee being great. World 1 overall was very boring and it did not impress me at all one bit. Hopefully it gets better from here. On to World 2, Crimwood Forest. We're at level 1, Barrel Show Bust Up. This is one of my favorite stages, at least visually. There are a lot of levels that are better and similar like this one, but the level itself is pretty simple. I did experience a sight problem jumping off the rope, but it may have been just my controller because I never really encountered this problem ever again. The level itself is pretty fine. The next level is Riverside Race. This level has a timer and if you finish fast enough, you unlock a secret area. You also need to run fast because of the bees that are chasing you. This is a pretty fun level. It tests your speed and your reaction time. Pretty much one of my favorite levels in this world. After beating the score, visit Brash, one of the mini bear family in this game, and his anger will create a shortcut. I find that pretty humorous, him raging to pretty much create a platform. Level 4 looks very similar to level 2, and that's going to be a constant theme in this game, keep in mind. And you play as Eri again, and then that Eri can swallow water and use them as ammo. Not a bad level. This level make pretty great use of Eri's ability, and you'll see that more later on in this game. It's the boss of World 2, and it's Ulrich the giant spider. All you do is jump on him, grab a barrel, and hit him underneath him. It's unique that you can jump on the boss, at least as a platform, to get your weapon, but other than that, it's a mediocre boss battle. World 2 was very boring, mainly because they used the same backroad multiple times. Not that doesn't happen in the last 2 Donkey Kong Country games, but I felt they were more spread out and they also felt more unique, while in Donkey Kong Country 3, it felt more the same despite having many differences. After beating the boss, you get an item to get an upgraded boat, the hovercraft. With that, you can drive over rocks and you can choose between 2 worlds, Cotton Top Cove and, excuse me if I mispronounce this, Metconos. I chose the world that I can't pronounce. Fireball Frenzy is where these owls are assuming are shooting fireballs, which looks and sounds like cheese balls. But it's a nice level, but there are better versions of it in this game. But seriously, don't you get Cheeto balls? Demolition Pipe Drain is the first minecart levels in this game. I know they're not driving a minecart, but ever since the first Donkey Kong Country games, I'll call them minecart levels. Now these levels are always fun and pretty frustrating, and this is no exception. Probably more frustrating for me at least, because I have terrible timing, but I still had a lot of fun in this level. Ripsaw Rampage is one of my favorite levels in this game. It's a vertical stage that you need to reach the goal at the top before the saw gets you. I love this level, and I really love levels like these because it always keep you moving forward. And of course, when done right, it can be very rewarding. The next level has Squirtle the Spider, my favorite animal character from the last game, and it's my favorite character in this one too. In this level, you jump on these barrels while they're being shot by these berserker crocodiles. Again, a decent level, but there's better version of this level later on in this game. We're at the boss of World 3 and it's the Android logo. All you have to do is avoid the frames, jump on the platform when they appear, and land on his head. There are 2 phases in this battle, both pretty easy. This world is actually pretty good. I like all the levels in this world and their unique gimmicks as well. Probably one of the best worlds in this game. The boss battle, however, was probably the most boring part of the world. Maybe even the most boring part of the game. Level 2 of Cotton Top Cove is Rocket Barrel Blast. You travel vertically using these rocket barrels. It's a pretty basic level. You also get the animal buddy Perry the Parakeet, aka the most useless character in the whole Donkey Kong Country series. All he does is follow you from above and get items for you that you normally can't reach, despite the fact that the Kongs can carry each other and throw each other in higher platforms. Level 5 of Fish Food Frenzy, you get the most unusual animal ability in the series, Nibber. Nibber's ability is that he's able to eat fish, which is pretty useful, but if he eats sea urchins, he might attack you. By the way, this is the second underwater level, and it looks very beautiful. I'm always a sucker for the underwater levels. I didn't mention the first one, which was in the first level of the world, but it was pretty boring and I decided to skip it. And besides, this one has Nibber, which he appears like a few times in this game. This boss battle is also unique, and again, unique doesn't equal great all the time. The boss Squirt can't damage you, but he can push you off the platform. Just shoot his eyes when they appear and that's pretty much it. I'm sorry if I'm going through the game really fast, but there's not really much to talk about in this game. It's boring, and in this world, it feels like the same stage all over again with small changes. Some good, some not that good. And this is only halfway through the game. Hopefully it gets better from here. By being the last 2 boss, we do get the next and last upgraded boat that allows you to go at waterfalls. World 5 is a snow world. We get to level 1, which feature barely even snow, assuming the white stuff on the game is snow. This level features a bunch of kamikaze barrels trying to kill you. Definitely a nice change of pace, which is kind of weird. That's just saying there's a bunch of kamikaze barrels and like finding some excitement. But anyways, it's a nice change of pace from the last world, and it really tests speed and timing because some of these guys can come really fast. The next level is another minecart level, and it's more frustrating than the first one. Granted, again, this may be because of my bad reaction time, but I did use a whole lot of life in this level. I feel like this level doesn't give you enough time to react to the situation, and it's really more of memorizing the level rather than testing your reaction time. But again, it may be just me and my bad timing. The next level is another frustrating level, mainly because of this part. There are these barrels that you need to jump across to get through the level. Now I'm sure I'm doing something wrong here, like not going fast enough or high enough, but I spent a lot of time in this level, about like 10 to 15 minutes, just trying to get through it. I'm sure I'm doing something wrong. I tried looking through other walkthroughs, but I just couldn't see the difference. So if anybody wants to point out my mistake, feel free. Crackshot Croc, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that right, is one of my favorite levels in this world. You have to avoid these targets while going through the level while playing as Squirtle. It's not the most difficult level in this game. Actually, it's pretty easy if you just take your time, but it's still a fun level. Looking back at this level now, it kind of gives me nightmares of Donkey Kong 64. Off to the boss battle with this evil Frosty the Snowman. Okay, his actual name is Break, but I'm pretty sure 90% of you call him Evil Frosty the Snowman. Once again, it's a unique battle, and actually it works to his favor this time, as it's one of my favorite boss battles in this game. You throw snowballs at Evil Frosty over there and aim for his flashy dinghy. Pretty much aiming could be a bit difficult, but it's not impossible. It's a bit challenging, especially near the end when Evil Frosty stops moving very fast and you barely have time to make an attack. World 5 is pretty much one of my favorite levels in this game. And it's surprising that I didn't have much ice physics in this level, which is a pretty good thing. There's a couple of levels I didn't show off, and they weren't bad either. It's probably contender of one of my favorite worlds in this game. Level 1 of World 6 is Burst of Barrage. If you're hoping this level was great, then I'm afraid I got some bad news. You play as Crocs from the last game, and much better now they has the ability to carry barrels and use them as weapons. Okay, to be actually honest here, it's actually a pretty decent level. I just want to make that Raid Barrett reference. I know joke telling is not really my strong suit, but I like to mix things up a bit, and this game's not giving me much material to work with. Level 3 is where you play as On Guard, and in my last retrospective video, I mentioned that one level would have been better without the lights to make it more challenging. Well, this level proved me wrong. You brighten up the level by hitting this little fish, but once it gets dark, the level becomes harder than I expected it to be. Another one of my favorite levels, despite the difficulty, but it's kind of made me rethink that last comment I made in my last retrospective video. Now, the only thing worth mentioning in level 4 is that you get to play as 4 animal buddies in this one level. Scrox also makes a return, On Guard, Ellie, and Squitter. Other than that, this level is just okay, not really challenging. It's actually pretty easy considering you ride the animal buddies and you get an extra hit without using a Kong, so this level is a breeze to get through. The boss of World 6 is Baubles. Now, Baubles has 3 different patterns. First is shooting a small version of itself at you and you must deflect them back at him. Second is to get these shell missiles to hit the boss. And finally, avoid the spikes and attack. World 6 is good. Again, not great. There are a couple of levels I like to go back to and play, but other than that, it's a pretty decent world. The boss battle is where the pattern is pretty simple to figure out, but it's not the worst, I suppose. Now, with that being said, let's go to the final world of this game. World 7, Castle Chaos. Besides the first level, there's something to talk about in every level. Level 2 introduced the idea of Ghost Barrel, which is pretty awesome. Now, I'm not sure if this idea was in the Lost World or the first 2 games, but this is the first time I played it in this game. These barrels will appear out of nowhere, and they will appear in different directions, and you must jump at the right time. It's a brilliant idea, and I'm surprised that they didn't use this idea in other levels in this game. Lightning Lookout is challenging for all the right reasons, just like in Toxic Terror from Donkey Kong Country 2. Mother Nature herself is out to kill you, and you must avoid the lightning. It's another one of those levels where I died a lot, but when I beat that level, it was pretty satisfying. The strategy here is, avoid the lightning by hiding under enemies or barrels, or just by avoiding it, and of course stay out of the water because that's an instant kill as well. Again, it's a great level, probably the best one in this game. Now, the next level is pretty interesting because of the use of the enemies here. Keeners, as they're called, are there to push you off the platform, and you must use them as platforms to get across the level. Now, with Dixie Kong, it's a lot easier, but you still need some good timing and landing. Other than that, this is probably the third easiest level in this world. Poisonous pipeline is where this pink liquid changes the direction on your controller. So when you press left, you go right and vice versa. It's a simple change, but it's still at a bit of difficulty. But once you figure out that gimmick, it's a bit of a breeze to get through. It's probably the second easiest level of this world in my opinion. We're at the final boss of the game, and it's the android bot again. After removing his head with the barrel, he turns into the inanimate common ward. Now, this is a decoy boss, obviously, and the real boss is Baron K. Ruhenstein. Not a king or a captain this time. Starting to think he's a cosplayer. Now, the first phase is pretty simple. Pull the lever, hide in that corner, which, to be honest, took me a while to figure out, mainly because I thought you can't hide over there. But anyways, just hide over there and attack the boss from behind with the barrel. The next phase is that you go to the platform on the right, pull the lever from the far left, and get the barrel from the far right, and then you enter to the third phase. It's pretty similar to the last one, but with moving platforms. Oh, by the way, you need to hit him twice in each phase. Now the last phase is to avoid the lightning on the floor, pull the lever to spawn the barrel, and attack K. Roll with it. Do this about 3 times and that's the end of the game. Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong are rescued, and the scene ends with Cranky Kong making fun of the other Kongs. The Kong ends up beating up an old man. The end. Oh, by the way, this is not the true ending. To get the true ending, you gotta beat the Lost World, which I didn't do, mainly because of time and, patience, pretty much. Mostly patient. But anyways, let's get into the final thought of this game. To be honest, I feel that this is the weakest of the 3 Donkey Kong Country games for the Super Nintendo. Now, it's not a bad game by any means, but I just can't highly recommend it. I could say give it a try, but I can't really say go out there and just play this game because you can really skip this game. I feel this game is, less creative than the 3 despite trying different things, which is a bit of a shame because they did put some actual effort into it. If you had a choice between one of the 3 Donkey Kong Country games, I recommend Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy Kong Quest. Of course, that's my favorite, so I may be a bit nostalgic buying from that. I probably didn't like the game because I played the first 2 games right before this one, and I was probably getting bored with the series, so I may go back and play it again, see if my opinion changed one bit. I do think it's a good game. I just don't highly recommend it. Maybe if you're a big fan of platformers, I think you're going to have some fun, especially in the second half. But I would say skip it if you want to. Other than that, let's go into the aftermath. Donkey Kong Country 3 did sell at least 3 million units, which is pretty impressive. Considering that the N64 was right around the corner. The Donkey Kong Country series has been ported numerous times, for example to the GBA and to the Nintendo eShop. There's also the Donkey Kong NES series on the Game Boy, which I'm not going to cover in this series. Maybe in the future, but right now, just the consoles.
Retro Studios in Texas has produced some great Metroid titles. And to make it magic again. If you listen, you can hear it coming.
In November 2010, a sequel to the Donkey Kong Country series has finally been made as Donkey Kong Country Returns, made by Retro Studios here in Austin, Texas. It was for the Wii, and it did so well. In 2014, they decided to make another sequel called Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. But this isn't the last time we're going to talk about Donkey Kong in this retrospective series, but right now we're going to take a little break from it. Now onwards to the Nintendo 64 with Killer Instinct Gold, the first game developed by Rare on the system. Now, will this game be a great start for the Nintendo 64, or was it a cheap cash-in of a arcade game. Tune in next time. This is me, Baba Daddy Dree, and I catch you guys later.